Hi, I'm Nathan Oakley and this is video log number 8. And the reason for today's video log is it is Sunday the 18th of October 2015, and this has been dubbed by some NASA Disclosure Day, and it brought up quite an interesting question on one of my videos about probably a fake takeoff or something about NASA being dodgy. But one of the commenters said, what has this got to do with flat Earth, as I put flat Earth at the end of the title? And I gave her a long-winded reply, which I'll sort of go through now. What does NASA have to do with the flat Earth? Well, Math Powerland summed it up beautifully. Everything. Without NASA, you don't have this. You don't have the globe. NASA had to go to the moon in order to get high enough to take a picture of something that we have accepted as fact, even though it's theory, since the time of Pythagoras. So NASA have got a pattern, a history that they've gone through from their birth, or slightly before their birth. So you have Admiral Byrd and Operation High Jump, where they basically look over Antarctica. They checked out, I think it was 1946, 1947, and they explored Antarctica. And then they suddenly have the Cold War, they have NASA, they have Operation Fishbowl, where the Russians and the Americans both fire huge amounts of munitions into the sky. I think that slightly preceded NASA. So then you have NASA, the gatekeepers to the sky, and they are, from what I understand from Mark Sargent's research, there's another structure slightly above NASA that, although it's not NASA in quotes that you have to go through, they are above this other agency that essentially rules everything in space. So to put it mildly, you have to go through NASA to go to space. I saw something recently about a Kickstarter or similar style program that the Russians were conducting to go to the moon with what looked like a piece of plastic with a laser on the bottom that's hitchhiking a trip to the moon on a satellite. But it's going through a space agency. It's not independent, it's not a rocket, it's hitchhiking. And just another classic example of NASA being in control of even the independent research. But yeah, to bring us back to the point, without NASA you don't have a globe. Without a moon landing, they've never been high enough. And from what Crow 777 or Crow Triple Horn has researched, it's NASA's information he's getting this from, but it's where I got it from on his channel. But there's a plasma layer. Now, again, this is my limited understanding of physics, but the plasma comes in two varieties, one of which is cold and one of which is hot. And the cold variety of plasma, I think the minimum temperature for it is 2000 degrees. Now, bearing in mind that titanium melts at about 1800 degrees and gold at about 1000 degrees, you've got to wonder, how have the satellites got through this layer? But more importantly, how have NASA got through it in a tin can? Now, NVIDIA recently, well I say recently, it was probably about 12 months ago, did a big expose on the amazing power of their light tracing or path tracing technology in their graphics cards. And what they used as an example was a picture of the moon landing, specifically Buzz Aldrin coming down the ladder, and they used this tool, this tool that's designed to fake things, to create computer games, to prove the moon landings. And the guy who's doing this said that he described the lander as a Coke can. You know, he's there defending the moon landings from a visual perspective, but at the same time he's calling it a Coke can, and he's not wrong. How does this Coke can get through a layer of plasma? It doesn't make any sense. But NASA has got everything to do with the flat Earth. Math Powerland, as I say, he was the first person to really highlight this because he had such a rude awakening. He was in an underground, not underground, but a party, a high-level party at NASA when the power got cut and they got to discussing a plane that had gone missing, and one of them quipped that they'd never find it. And Matt asked them why won't they ever find it, and they explained that the GPS doesn't work down there, and this got elaborated on to the point where he was having it laid out for him in no uncertain terms that the world is flat, And when you watch his, I think it's his girlfriend interviewing about this subject, or even the comedy pieces that he's done where he sort of does a perception test of people and says, you know, what is this? Is this a picture of a planet? And then he reveals that it's just a hole in his shirt and it's just a photograph of a circle. But then he presents, you know, a picture of the globe and says, how do you know it's real? And the answer always comes back to NASA. So NASA, they are the arbiter of everything when it comes to this deception, and it is the biggest deception that mankind has ever known. Without NASA, there is no moon, there is no moon landings, there is no Earth, there's no images of these things as we know them. So it's NASA that perpetuates this lie. So hopefully today there'll be lots of people making comments on all of the NASA channels in support of NASA Disclosure Day. So good luck out there if you're doing it, and I will see you in the next one.